a lot of people don't know this if you're not a professional or aspiring professional cheerleader or dancer, but there's a lot that goes into becoming a Patriots cheerleader. It's not just you show up and you dance. You have a resume that you have to submit. There's multiple interview rounds that you have to go through. It's a very intense job. I mean, you are representing this internationally well-known organization, and so they take that very seriously. So I wanted to do something to work on my public speaking, to work on my health and fitness, and just work on myself. And being on the team, it really helped develop those skills of communicating with people and fans, and kind of just push me outside of my comfort zone. And people don't realize that those are skills that you can gain from that.
So important to mention, because I think that there is a stereotype out there that you're all just a pretty face and that's it. And not only is there so much more to you as an individual, but there's also so much more to the position itself as well than just being on the sidelines and shaking some pom-poms, right?
Absolutely.
You know, so I'm glad that you pointed that out. And also, I used to cheerlead in high school, and I was not the best at it, I will admit, but I will say it is 1,000% a freaking sport, and people need to quit it with that. It is hard work, it's exhausting, it's tiring, and that is such an outdated narrative, and we need to get rid of it.
Yes.
It is.
It is.
There's such a stigma. I mean,
There is.
I grew up doing all-star cheerleading, and so did Alicia. And it was so intense for me growing up that I decided in college, I don't want to do this competitively anymore. I'm going to shift gears. And I went to school in Rhode Island, and I eventually went on to compete and win Miss Rhode Island to go to Miss America. So I had a lot of I had a lot of experience with brand representation and being able to carry myself and just connect with people out in the public that came from all different walks of life. And I had that cheerleading background. So once I finished my time as Miss Rhode Island, I was getting my master's degree. I auditioned for the third try. Neither of us made it on our first try. We really had to chase after that dream. And I used all of the skills from all-star cheerleading growing up to all of my experiences getting ready for Miss America. And it was that third try auditioning for the Patriots that I finally made it. But when I was on the team and auditioning for the team, I was getting my master's degree. So now I'm a special education school counselor. But at the time, there were so many of us that were graduate students and had full-time jobs. And it's been very empowering and enlightening for Alicia and I to have, you know, any kind of platform that we have and share our stories. I mean, look at this girl. She's a doctor. Are you kidding me? Come on.
Well, both of you have a lot to be proud of, but it is really nice to be able to come into a place like this and a show that is, you know, for public consumption and be able to start changing things around a little bit and changing people's mindsets. Beauty and brains don't need to be mutually exclusive, you know? And also the ideas of, oh, if they're pretty, they're mean. Look at you girls, gorgeous. You guys, there was no competition. You guys started that friendship right away. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it really is nice and I think comforting to hear these types of stories for people at home, because I know that it's not always the case for everyone, but there's a lot of people where this hasn't even touched the world, but it's just the assumption they've made because of what they've heard, you know? So I'm very happy to hear that. Very, very happy to hear that. So, okay, so you started, so you ended up trying out at the same time, but also didn't make it right away. So you said third time for you?
Third time was the charm for both of us,
For
right?
both of you guys. Okay, wow.
Yeah. My mistake was, like I said, people don't realize how important it is, like how this is an actual job, right? And so I just, if you go to a job, you research that job and about the organization and what to expect and what to wear and whatever it may be. I just didn't do that. So I showed up my first audition and I understand why I didn't make the team. I'll just put it that way. So yeah.
Okay, so with all of these things that go along with the role of just a cheerleader, there's so much more you guys have sort of alluded to. What has been either your favorite part of it, of the experience as a whole, or the biggest thing that you've learned from your time on the team?
Oh, there are so many takeaways from it. I think it's really impactful when you put this uniform on and then all of a sudden you have the ability to connect with all these people in the community. I mean, there are so many events, and we were actually just talking about it on an Instagram Live last night, where you get to do these events out in the community and they're so impactful, and you have such a great experience giving back that you ask to go back to those events year after year. And then the people that are hosting these events will ask to have you back too. And as much as you're there and you're like, wow, that was just such a great feeling to give back and be in that position, you just left such a huge mark on all these people. I mean, it always blew my mind, the events that you would go to and people are just, their jaws are on the floor and they're like, I can't believe I just met a Patriots cheerleader and you are everything I thought you would be. I mean, just to be able to give that experience to people it's incredible.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, my sister's like, I don't see it. Like, you're just you. Like, why are these people so excited?
Yeah.
Which is true. And you have to like take a step back. And when you're in this uniform, you're like essentially Superwoman to some people.
Yeah.
But that I would have said that, so I'm not going to. A skill that I learned, and it was definitely from being a part of the organization and from our coach, was just time management. We all worked full-time jobs, and we had certain appearances throughout the year that we had to maintain. So we had to do about like 20 appearances or something throughout our time on the team, plus games. And we had it's New England Patriots, so we had to cover the New England area. So there was days where at lunch break at my PT job, I'm in sweats and a t-shirt with my hair up. I'd be curling my hair, doing my makeup, put my fake eyelashes on, treat 2 more patients, get in my car and go to Maine to stand on a lobster float. So it's just those time management skills that I learned, and literally now I just feel like I can conquer my days because I know how to exactly pack my day and how to do what to.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So obviously you felt like you had this newfound wealth of knowledge, but what was it that really inspired you both to say, hey, we should really create something out of this? And because, it might just be nice for a lot of people to be like, I've gotten a lot more out of that than I thought I would, but there's a whole extra level to kind of make that switch to say I want to do this and help other people now too.
Yeah, I think for me it was a way to stay within the community. It's the Patriots, and being a Patriots cheerleader will always hold a special place in my heart. And you can do 4 years on the team. I chose to do 2 just because I, was getting married and had other life things and obligations. But it was a way to stay in that community and have that, help others. Yeah. So there's a lot of aspiring professional cheerleaders that look up to us that we get to help. And it was really cool to it's really cool to have that opportunity to do it with Nicolette and meet those people. And like my dad always says, like, you have lemons, you make lemonade. Like you were a Patriots cheerleader. People have asked you for advice. So why not, build a company around that as well?
Yeah. And we've had the ability to watch preliminary auditions because as being a veteran cheerleader, when you go back to audition, you don't have to do the first round. Mm-hmm. So Alicia and I were lucky enough that second year as veteran cheerleaders, and even the third year, I believe, we were able to go back and watch the preliminary round of auditions. And year after year, we would watch men and women who were the best dancers in the room get cut because they didn't have the appropriate buzzwords and language on their resume and their cover letter, and their photos didn't best represent them as an individual. So just from watching that alone, we realized it's not just enough to be able to walk the walk. You have to be able to talk the talk and market yourself in every sense. And as much as this is about pro cheer and dance for us, we help people in the professional world as well, because it's the exact same approach when you're going for a job within your career field.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, maybe they've cheered before, but as you guys have been very clear about, no pun intended, but it's a whole other ball game. You know what I mean? It's completely different. And so they might think that they've come in fully prepared and quickly learn they're very, very wrong. But I would love to learn a little bit too about how the transition from working with mainly just cheerleaders or athletes into any really sector or professionals just for life coaching. When did you make that decision? How far into the business were you?
Honestly, we felt like the skills that we were, and you can jump in if you think I'm wrong, but we felt like the skills that we are teaching to make a professional team, like Nicolette said, are the same skills that you would utilize for any type of job interview.
Exactly.
And so actually we had a client who was auditioning for the Broncos, and she didn't make it, but she was also trying to get a nursing job. And she's like, okay, well, can I work with you guys to help me with my interview for this nursing position? And she got it. So it's just giving that someone confidence and a couple extra tips and help and skills to, achieve that interview or get that job. Yeah.